I got to ask you about the Tenderloin. Since I was in high school there in the city, I mean, it's just been generations of drugs and crime and drug dealing and theft and robberies, feces, urine. At the same time, families live in the Tenderloin. They're trying to raise children there in the midst of all this. And it's been going on for decades. But last month, he used some very blunt language to declare that state of emergency in the neighborhood. It made national headlines. There's a lot of emotion from you. It's almost like you flipped a switch there. What caused that emotion? And a follow-up question real quick. I mean, you've got 90 days to get after it here. Are you seeing progress in the neighborhood?
So I grew up in the city, not too far from the Tenderloin, in public housing in the Western Addition, and I've been in the Tenderloin. I've had family members that lived in the Tenderloin. In fact, many of the people that used to live in the Fillmore, a lot of them live in the Tenderloin now, including one of my friends who I grew up with, who I raised as a kid at the African American Art Culture Complex. He was chased, he was beat, he was held down, he was gunned down and killed in the Tenderloin. What's changed? It's become increasingly violent. The number of shootings and the people who have been killed, the number of folks who have been stabbed, the number of families, kids, and mothers and elderly people who have been randomly attacked by people on the streets, the fear that they're living in, the constant concern about whether or not if they go to the store, they're going to come back okay or unharmed. And that's part of, I think, a significant change. The Tenderloin has always had challenges. Unfortunately, people have always struggled with addiction, and San Francisco, unfortunately, has become known for this place in the TL where people who have an addiction can seek out drugs and get them easily.
Right.
And the problem
what's changed over the last 3 weeks?
What's changed is it has become increasingly more violent, as I said, and that violence has escalated to the point where it is impacting people who live there, children, elderly, store owners. It has gotten completely out of control, and so we have a responsibility as a city to be more actively engaged, not just continuing to invest the millions of dollars we do annually for social services and programs in the Tenderloin more than any other neighborhood, but making sure that people are held accountable for the crimes that they commit, when they cross the line, when they assault people, when they're out there publicly dealing drugs in broad daylight. I walked the Tenderloin on Thursday for 2 hours. I saw the drug deals. I saw the feces on the street. I saw the random acts of violence in some instances, and it is completely out of control. And I talked to a lot of folks there who said, please, we want to see a change. We want to see it improve.
So is police and prosecution the way to go? Because some would argue, some in the DA's office would argue that's outdated. We don't do that anymore.
The problem is people are trying to just make it about that. It's not about that. We have a triage center where there's going to be a location right on the spot that we can bring people to who, we saw a lot of folks who were laid on the sidewalk, who some were high, some were just probably sleeping. And the goal is to have a place for them to go. The goal is to make sure that folks are not overdosing on the street. I mean, we're talking about over 700 people last year and possibly 600 people this year who died from drug overdose, more than we lost during COVID. And so the point is, we have to pay attention to every single person in the Tenderloin, whatever that challenge is, and try to meet them where they are and address the need. It's not just about arresting and prosecution, but let's be clear. That is going to be a part of the solution for people who are committing violent acts and who are dealing drugs in the Tenderloin.
Got the message, Mayor London Breed. Always appreciate the conversation. Hope you have a great rest of the week.